Joining us now on the program to talk about everything happening in the political world here in the state of Michigan and around the U.S. is Dave Dulio, professor of political science at Oakland University, where he also serves as the director of their Center for Civic Engagement. Dave, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Good to see you, Tyler.
Yeah, good to see you as well. We're wrapping up the 2022 calendar year, and it's been quite the interesting and very important year for politics here in the state of Michigan and around the U.S. What are some of your key takeaways, both in Michigan and nationally, in politics from 2022, and what sort of impacts could they have in the future of politics, not just in 2023, but beyond?
Sure. Well, I think at the top of the list has got to be the Supreme Court decision in the Dobbs case that overturned Roe versus Wade. You know, that that shook the political ground uh, in Michigan, in Washington, and frankly from coast to coast across the country. That's got to be the top sort of result, if you will, or top dynamic of the year. I think second is got to be the failure of Republicans to take advantage of a very favorable electoral environment in the midterms. Part of the reason that they weren't able to take advantage was that Dobbs decision, right? And Democrats made those issues central to their fight against Republicans. But there were still some other reasons that Republicans dropped the ball, and I think gave away a generational opportunity to make historic gains in at the federal level and even at the state level. And I would say third, you've got, let's go back closer to home here in Michigan. The redistricting that occurred in 21 was applied in 22, so I would add that here. And then the reelection of Governor Whitmer and Democrats flipping the state House and state Senate, big impact that will certainly be felt into next year.
You talk about the Democrats here in the state of Michigan flipping the House and the Senate, now controlling both the legislature and the executive office, with Governor Whitmer also being reelected in the 2022 midterm elections. There's plenty to be on the watch for in the state of Michigan in 2023, especially because of the changing of the guard of power in Lansing. What should Michiganders really be focusing on or looking out for going into 2023, and maybe be expecting from this new leadership at the top levels of the state government here in Michigan next year?
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to watch how Democrats with unified party government, right? Now they have all three levers of power, four if you count the Supreme Court, right? With a majority of Democratic um, aligned justices. But what do Democrats do with this newfound power? Do they come out of the gates in January with their foot on the gas and pedal to the metal, or is it a slower approach where maybe we look to the governor's State of the State address to see what those priorities are going to be? I think you're likely to see some things move pretty quick, but also not step on the toes of the governor, who's going to want to make that State of the State address a highlight of the year for her administration, and really use her. It's fair to call it an overwhelming victory against Tudor Dixon in terms of how she campaigned and the more than 10-point margin in the outcome. So I think that she's certainly in a position of strength, and I think she's going to want to keep that going. It'll also be really interesting to see maybe more into 23 if the continued scuttlebutt about her being a potential presidential candidate continues. She has said very firmly, right, as you know, that she's not looking to do that. But as you also know, Tyler, never say never in politics, and 2024 is it's right around the corner.
Yeah, the big thing to be keeping an eye out for in the Democratic Party in 2023, I believe, is going to be what decisions are made with Joe Biden and whether or not he'll run for re-election in 2024. And beyond that, then what happens with Kamala Harris if should Joe Biden decide not to run? Is she the presumptive candidate, or are the Democrats looking for that next home run kind of candidate, which indications are showing Governor Whitmer is on that short list? A big story to follow in 2023. Dave, this week also big news on the federal level. The U.S. House Select Committee on investigating January 6th, the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, voted unanimously on Monday this week to recommend the Justice Department pursue criminal charges against former President Donald Trump in relation to the incident on January 6th, 2021, as the Electoral College was being certified by both chambers of Congress, as well as famously participation from, as usual, by Vice President Mike Pence at the time. How may this affect his chances of reclaiming power in the Republican Party in 2023, or really where could this potentially be going, given that in the federal politics, the House is being flipped to Republican majority in 2023?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have much of an impact. I think, politically anyway, right? I think the biggest impact is for him personally if charges are pursued, and I'm not convinced that we're going to see that. I think that this opens up the Justice Department to take even more criticism um, about being a partisan organization, and I think you're seeing that now with the information that's coming out of Twitter and the FBI and what they have what they appear to have been in consultation with Twitter about during 2020 in the Biden laptop story. I think so. I'm not convinced that the DOJ is going to move forward with criminal charges. I mean, they certainly could, but I'm not. I'm not. I don't think it's a slam dunk. Let's put it that way. And I think the political dynamics are already in motion. That this will only harden those movements. Right. Trump's base is not going to leave him. That I think is we've seen that over time, right? There will be a solid block of Republicans who just are unwilling to move from Trump if he continues in 2024. Now, there are many other Republicans who are looking to for an alternative, right? And I think that they've polling seems to indicate they found that in Ron DeSantis. So I think you might continue to see that split of Republicans, and this may just move a few more of those folks away from Trump, but I think he's going to have his backers in his corner.
Yeah, big question going into 2023 for the Republican Party is where does that shift happen as we're getting into the thick of primary season and as candidates continue to vie for position and others rise to some prominence and power in the Republican Party? Do they make that split from Donald Trump to a similar candidate, to a completely different candidate? And how does that impact their chances in 2024? We're joined by Dave Dulio, professor of political science at Oakland University, where he also serves as the director of the Center for Civic Engagement. You can find more information throughout the year on programs, discussions, and more from the Center for Civic Engagement on their website, oakland.edu/CCE. That's oakland.edu/CCE to learn more about the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. It's an important year, as every year seems to be nowadays, more and more in politics. Anything currently that you can discuss about plans for 2023 discussions or other programs at the Center for Civic Engagement?
Yeah, nothing concrete. We're ready to let out of the bag right now, but you'll see from us a number of opportunities to engage on issues that are wide ranging and really all over the map for us, that are important for us here in Michigan and beyond. I think there are things that are bubbling in the headlines. I think that you can count on us tackling and even more than that.
You can find more information, oakland.edu/CCE for programs and discussions through the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. Dave, another couple minutes before we'll need to say goodbye today. Anything else we should be keeping an eye out for as we go into 2023 on the political realm?
We were talking about the primary season, right? The presidential primary season. A year from now, Tyler, we're going to be talking maybe on the same day at the same time about an upcoming presidential primary in Michigan. It appears that Michigan is going to move further up into the calendar, which is going to give Michigan a really big say in who becomes the nominee. Certainly in the Republican Party, and if there is a contested primary on the Democratic side there too, so it'll be really interesting to watch how Michigan positions itself, and if in fact the placement of the primary is where it appears to be going, right, and there's a battle brewing and being played out, as we speak, I guess, in some corners of the Democratic Party about the jockeying of states and where they're going to go and who's going to go first. But Michigan appears to be poised to move up. So we're going to have a real big impact, more so than in the last couple of cycles. And I think that's a good thing for the state. That's important. And I think it's going to give us a lot to talk about moving forward.
Yeah, Michigan, a very important state for both parties as it continues to be shifting over the last couple elections, more Democratic, but certainly is very purple across the board still at this time. Dave, thank you so much as always for joining us.
Yeah, Tyler, have a great holiday and see you in the new year.